Guys, for me, the most exciting car of the show, the McLaren Senna. Now, an incredibly evocative name, and a lot of people have done detailed reviews of the Senna, but suffice to say we're talking about 789 brake horsepower, and you can see quite clearly this car is designed to go fast around the track, and it's utterly incredible. Everything about it, the engineers have truly been let loose here to put together perhaps the most exciting track car stroke road car of our generation. Now, I hate to talk about some of the things the marketing guys might have been allowed to do. Was you can watch the road go past. I think that's absolutely incredible. I rather like that. It's almost like a concession to the person that's going to have the thing on the road. I really can't imagine, unless you're going sideways, that this would actually be hugely of interest to racing drivers, because if they're looking through there, they're not focusing on their driving.
Probably cuts down on a bit of weight replacing steel or aluminium.
Yes,
with process.
absolutely. But then again, you have the glass, the opening roofs. I don't know whether this is open or not. No, it's not, it's closed. But there's the window. That's as much as you get. But Chris is probably able to give you a close look at the inside of the car here. It is a little bit 720-ish, but quite clearly you can see the center console that moves with the seat. And you've got that sort of floating center area which has all your infotainment and your sat nav, should you choose to spec it with sat nav. Those seats, they look like pieces of carbon with a few cushions on them. And I just think this is just such a focused car. Even if you think the styling is a little bit race car-ish, I still think there's no question at all that you have to admire it from an engineering viewpoint. Excuse me. I think in terms of the aero, the most exciting thing that's going on here is this wing. Now you can see it's hinged underneath the struts, and it has exactly the same basic functionality as on our LT, so it acts both as the ability to provide extra downforce so it moves upwards, and then to go right up when it's acting as the air brake. Coming round to the back of the Senna, again, everything is developed here to get air through the car to provide both downforce and the ability to go fast. Love the triple rear exhausts. I think they're absolutely beautiful. And then Senna. There will be 500 of these made, and then I think 25 of the GTRs. I think it's something like that. This one's running on P0s. Slightly surprises me that, because maybe they're Trofeos. Yes, sorry, they're Trofeos. So they're the track focus. I didn't see the point in having these on the same tyres exactly as my Panamera is on, because quite clearly they're a very different car. But I love that wing. I think that is just totally beautiful. It's set much further forward than you would normally get a rear wing on a car, and apparently that's to provide the extra downforce. Can make the rear of the car look just a little bit ungainly, but when it's so beautifully sculptured as this one, I feel that's sort of justified. Again, there are different settings for the suspension. So if you look at the front of the car, you can see that the suspension is set in its low setting. This would only be for the racetrack. And then again, you get the view from the other side of the car on the inside. Unfortunately, all these cars are sold. Apparently there is one GTR left, which is the one that you see going around there. So a massive amount of aero. You can also see, when Chris comes round, you can see that you've got the elements at the side of the car that take the air from under the wheel arch, so you don't get air traps around the wheel arch. And again, they've gone back to the racing style of the LT, which is to put the air vents in the side pod. Whereas, as you know, on the standard McLaren 720, the doors are double skinned and the air goes through the centre of the door, which, whilst being clever, cannot be as efficient as having huge side pods in the side of the car. That's its racing specification. And then at the front, now, what I can't remember is whether or not on the 720S, and we'll have a look in a minute, whether it's actually enclosed here. This is enclosed at the top part, and then obviously the bottom part is straight through. From my memory, the 720S actually allows air through this section as well. Again, all carbon, and a massive amount of air ducts in the front of the car. They look like active air ducts to force the air through the underneath of the car. I'm in total awe of this car. And then I love the way that the cockpit is so enclosed, looks like it's all glass. And then one of the styling features on this car, a little bit like one of the options you could get on the 675, is obviously the hood part, the air that gets forced through the back of the hood, so the scoop, directly into the engine bay. Now in the 675 LT, I think it was back here. So in the engine compartment, you could hear all the that you got with the air coming over the top of the roof and then into the engine bay. Here they've set it back slightly further. I don't actually know whether or not you would hear that. I imagine you probably would, if not on top of you, actually behind you. And then for the first time on a McLaren, we have a central locking device to hold the steering wheel. No, not to hold the steering wheel, to hold the wheel in place. First time on a McLaren that you have the centre lock. I think the 720S is five nuts, and in the same way as the 675 is 5 nuts. Even if the 5 nuts on the 675 are all titanium. Do you know, that is just totally stunning, that car. And all sold. Did I mention they're all sold? Doesn't come as more upsetting than that. Okay, we're talking about power of 789. We're talking about a weight of 1240, I think. I'll have to check that for you. So it's a very, very light car. And we're talking about £750,000. I'm assuming plus local taxes, so that would be on top of that. And then the GTR is a little bit lighter. I think it's down at the 1.1 type kilograms level, and it's £1 million, and it produces about a minimum of 814 brake horse. So I have to be honest and say, when I saw the Senna launched, I thought the last thing I was going to see was a race-developed version of the Senna, because there is nothing more obviously race-developed than this car. But I was wrong. This is the one that evolved. We're going to move over to the McLaren Senna, which is in carbon fibre, which is positively beautiful. You see the carbon weave is exposed. It's everywhere, and then you've got yellow accents everywhere. It's absolutely super. Now the interesting thing here is, unlike the 720S, you have the full engine on display. which I think is much nicer. Personally, I rather like that. Dude, oh, okay. Nobody here to ask, really, is it? It's very driver focused. You can see the carbon racing seats. There's basic padding on the carbon racing seats, and when you move the carbon racing seat, the whole of the center dash here moves with you, including the floating display at the center of the car. On some McLarens, you can get, this is a window in the McLaren, so you can see the road racing by as you go, but here it's obviously it's carbon. It's just a beautiful, I mean, I have no idea what this would cost, but I would have thought upwards of £1 million, definitely. Because these are 750,000 plus taxes, and then to have it in carbon would be another 500,000 maybe. I don't know whether we're allowed to sit in it, but if you don't sit in it, you don't find out, do you? So, okay, the center floating unit doesn't actually move with the car, but the driving environment is immediately familiar to you, to anybody that owns a 720S. In this car, it's all in carbon fiber, but the steering wheel is very much the same as we've got in the 675. The seats are actually remarkably comfortable, because when I was looking at them, I thought, well, you've got a carbon base, but actually it's just padding. But this is absolutely tremendous to sit in, I have to say. Quite good visibility. I mean, I quite like the visibility. I mean, obviously there's nothing out the back at all. You know, it's completely closed off, so you'd be relying on your mirrors a lot. But it's really focused. I love the way that they put a Bowers and Wilkins stereo system in here. I mean, I think as somebody else once said, I wonder how much that will get used, because I'm not sure this is a car you do much more than drive to the circuit in. But I love the way that the center console here is attached to the seat. That's really nice. So it's always, all your transmission buttons are absolutely right beside you, with your launch control and your hazard warning lights. I think that's just really nice. And then the display, which is interesting here, the display doesn't move. So unlike the 720S, where you can raise the display unit out of race mode, and then you have the full display unit in front of you, this one looks like it's fixed. So it doesn't actually look like it will fold out at all. But I don't know that. You can never definitely say it wouldn't. But then, of course, this is a race car, so maybe in the Senna. It surprises me that, actually. I'd be surprised if somehow that wasn't able to turn around. Not sure where the grab handles are. That's obviously the strut. Can you see a grab? Oh, well done, Chris. Let me have a... Watch yourself. So it's actually, you can see quite a lot out of it. It's quite airy inside the car. I mean, I rather like the inside. And it's all in full carbon fiber, as all McLarens are. It's a carbon fiber tub, of course, so you get a massive amount of exposed carbon fiber. And then I know in the 720S they do show a lot of the carbon fiber around the edges here and over the vents, and this is similar, but it's actually quite roomy inside, you know, without a doubt. You know, there's been lots of beautiful stuff on this at this show, but this is the car for me. If I had, I don't know, £1,250,000 to spend, let's say, I think this would be very high, if not on the only one on the priority list. And again, it's very accessible because, of course, the doors hinge in the center of the roof, so the whole structure opens up. It's very good, very nice. Got the 3 exhausts coming out of the middle of the rear of the car. Huge diffuser all the way around the car. Really aggressive looking, but I mean, it's a racing car. You can see everything about it is about going around the track quickly. carbon wheels. It's got the odd hint of green around the place. The door struts are in green and the brakes are in green, and obviously they're fully carbon wheels. Quite like the way that they do the Pirelli tires now, with the Pirelli and the P0 with this line round the tyre in whatever colour you choose, because obviously here there are three colours going on. There's the yellow accents, which are probably the most dominant accents on the car, a few touches of green, and then of course the exposed carbon fibre. I do like the air scoop in the roof. I think that's nice too. .789 brake horsepower. Obviously not going to be any way of carrying luggage in this car, because where the boot normally is, you've obviously got two great air vents, presumably to the radiators, so there would be no room under the front bonnet at all, which is where normally the McLarens have their where they have their luggage space. Obviously at the back you have the engine. So this isn't a car you're going to go for 2 weeks on holiday in, but it is a car you're going to take to the racetrack. I mean, it's just, everything about it is just so single-minded. So even the windows, as I think I demonstrated earlier, even the windows only come down from here. So the top part is completely fixed. I don't know how easy that would make it to put your hand through and pick up a ticket on the Autobahn.
Because hand signals.
Well, I forget hand signals, I think. But I do like it. I mean, I like the yellow accents on the carbon fibre, and I think it just looks so aggressive. It is absolutely typical McLaren. Even the way they have designed the wing mirrors, which are not wing mirrors in their own right, they're almost like an extension of the front wing. Just utterly amazing. What a stunning, stunning machine. So we'll wander over quickly to the 720S just to show you some of the differences. So here you can see no centre lock, got the 5 wheel nuts in their normal place. And then Chris, if you can just show the twin skin nature of the door. So the air is forced through the door rather than having a sort of a side pod that you get on the Senna. And I'm sure that makes this car slippery, but the amount of air that you'll get coming through and channeling through to the engine with the rather large side pods is going to be considerably greater. Although I'm not an expert, I would say that's probably the case. I am actually a big fan of this colour. I think that the metallic blue with the tan interior and all the exposed carbon that you get on this car is really lovely. And then we'll just pop round the front, Chris. No, I was sorry. There is a hole. There is a hole underneath the headlamps to channel air through above as well as below, whereas in the Senna it's just below.